attendance today because of the clash also. So in the last class, we started Arjun's Vishad Yoga, how he was overcome by compassion and he was showing the symptoms of weakliness. He was not willing to fight anymore. So we started from verse number 27, how Arjuna was showing the signs of compassion. He was overcome by compassion and he was showing the symptoms also. And then from verse number 30 to 35, we discussed how he was considering the loss of enjoyment also. And that was the point in fighting. When I will not be able to enjoy anymore, the result will not be as per my expectation. We will, of course, cover it in detail when we are doing the overview of the chapter. So first, we will complete the chapter today. So two reasons we have done so far: compassion and enjoyment. In total, there are 4 reasons. Just remember, there are Arjuna's 4 reasons. Now we are going to do first compassion, second enjoyment. We are done. Today we will do the third reason, sinful reactions. Okay, so we will be starting from verse number 36. Verse number 36 we can have on the screen. So this is all Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna is citing reasons for not fighting. Verse number 36. Papam eva shred asman hatvetam atyatanahe tasman naraha vayam hantum dharat rashtran sabandhavan swajanam hi katham hatva sukhina shama madhava. Someone please read the translation and purpose.
Should I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husbands of
husband of the goddess of fortune. Mataji, we lost you.
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Please continue.
Yeah. One second. O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing by our own kinsmen? Purport: according to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. A poison giver, 2, one who sets fire to the house, 3, one who attacks with deadly weapons, 4, one who plunders riches, 5, who occupies another's land, and 6, one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressors is quite befitting any ordinary man, but Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character, and therefore he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. This kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Rama was so saintly that people even now are anxious to live in the kingdom of Lord Rama, Ramarajya. But Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was then aggressor against Rama because Ravana kidnapped Rama's wife Sita, but Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons unparalleled in the history of the world. In anyone's case, Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, our own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, against ordinary excesses. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, for political reasons, it yeah, it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not therefore consider such killing consider such killing profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent. So why he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's Arjuna is addressing of Krishna as Madhava, or the husband of the goddess of fortune, is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out not to Krishna, not out to Krishna, that as the husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not introduce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone. So to say nothing of his devotees, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so this is the third reason now, sinful reaction. Arjuna is fearing the reaction of the sin he would commit by killing so many people. Now, papam eva shred asman. Papam, the sins will ashred, that will come upon me. Eva is certainly. So by killing so many people, certainly so many sins will come upon me. So he's fearing that. But then we see the last word in the same line. Atatainaha. Atataina, if you see word to word meaning, it means aggressors. So Prabhupada is trying to tell us, why killing of so many people by Arjuna will not bring him sins, because they are aggressors. Arjuna himself is saying that sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. But according to scriptures, six kind of aggressors can be killed and no sin is incurred by killing them. What are those 6 reasons? Prabhupada tells in the very beginning of the purport, a poison giver. So do we know, did Kauravas give poison to Pandavas? Anyone?
Yes, Mataji. Bhima
Yes.
was given poison.
Yes. So they had committed that. I mean, that aggression was also committed by them. Second reason, one who sets fire to the house. Did they do that also?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Yeah.
The house,
Mataji. Yes.
lack
Yeah.
And
house.
a house made of wax.
That's agree, Mataji.
Yeah. Wonderful. And third reason, one who attacks with deadly weapons. Did they do that also? Of course, they did it many times. They would attack them with their deadly weapons. They would get them attacked by deadly weapons also. Fourth one is one who plunders riches. So of course we know they plundered all their riches. They were the rightful inheritors of the kingdom, but they had plundered it. They would not even give them 5 villages. And fifth one who occupies another's land. Again, same thing. The land also, they were riches they took away. Land also they were not ready to share. Sixth one who kidnaps a wife. So Draupadi was also insulted. She was rather, in a way, kidnapped only from her room to the assembly hall. So all these kinds of 6 kinds of aggressions Kauravas had done. So Arjuna had no reason to get back from fighting. He had a right to kill all these people. But Arjuna, Prabhupada tells that Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character. Therefore, he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. He had a right to kill them. Any ordinary person would go and cite the reason and he could kill them. But Arjuna, he didn't want to do that because he was saintly by nature. But saintliness is not for a Kshatriya. When we move down in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining, no, Prabhupada gives example of Lord Rama. Lord Rama's wife was kidnapped. Lord Rama was very, very saintly. We know about Ram Rajya, how good and how happy people were under Lord Ram. But when his wife was kidnapped, he just took to the bow and arrow. He was ready to fight with the demon Ravana. Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor. He kidnapped Lord Ram's wife. So Lord Ram took the right action. Therefore, saintliness is not meant for Kshatriyas. According to scriptures, there are injunctions for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Brahmanas have to be non-violent, but a Kshatriya has to be violent when needed. Not any time and on everyone he has to be just violent and use his power. No, when needed, he has to show aggression. He has to take up the weapons. So we see that Arjuna knows the scriptures, but is failing to understand how to apply the Shastras. He knows the principles, we should not do this, this is how we should be. He's a very pure-hearted person, but he doesn't know how to apply those instructions. And again, his last word in the verse, Madhava. He's again misusing the word Madhava. Madhava means the husband of goddess of fortune. Ma means Ma Lakshmi. And Madhava. Dhava means husband. So he's husband of Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. So again, he's saying that you are the husband of goddess of fortune, but you are asking me to fight, and you are bringing in misfortune for all of us. How can you do that? So he's misusing the word Madhava. That Madhava, you are doing the wrong thing. This is not what you stand for. This is not what your name signifies. You are asking me to fight, and that will bring in misfortune. So you can't do that. All the reasons given by Arjuna here, we see they are bona fide, but he doesn't know how to apply them. And especially when Krishna, Dharma personified, who has made all the rules, he is there in front of him, and he doesn't know what to do. That's why we need guidance of a bona fide spiritual master or a Vaishnava to know how to apply these injunctions. Sometimes we hear and read from here and there, and when the situation comes, circumstances come, we don't know how to apply them. We may misapply them. So we should seek guidance. Okay. So that's all. In the purport, Prabhupada is explaining. Again, Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, he should just, give up everything. Because he knew this happiness and all this will be on temporarily level, bodily happiness. It will go with the body. So it's not permanent. So why should he risk all this eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? So he had all this knowledge, but just that he didn't know how to apply it. Okay. So verse number 37 to 38. Now he will come up with the fourth reason. So fourth reason is destruction of dynasty. He will try to now tell that what will be the consequences, a series of consequences he will tell now from verse number 37, 38, he will just cite this, and 39 onwards till 40th, 41st verse, he will give series of consequences of destruction of dynasty if this war takes place. Death of family elders will take place, and then how family tradition will be vanquished, and so many reasons he will give. So we will do that now. Verse number 37, 38. Yadi api ete na pashyanti lobhopahata chetasah kulashya kritam dosham mitra drohe cha patakam katham na gneyam asambhihi papad asmani vartitum kulashya kritam dosham prapashya dabir janardhana.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we? We can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin. Purport. A Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is invited by some rival party. Under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he had been challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now here Arjuna is saying that they don't understand. The Kauravas, Duryodhan, he said they don't understand what is right and what is wrong. But we know what is right, wrong. So why should we do the wrong thing? Okay, just showing that I have the knowledge, so knowledge of scriptures, so I should apply that. I should not engage in this war. And the last part, the last 3 lines of the purport, if you see, Prabhupada tells, obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. But when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. What does this mean? It's a practical lesson for us. Obligation is binding. So if we know the effect of doing an activity that is good according to the scriptures, then one is bound to follow that activity. One has to perform that activity. But if one knows the effect or the consequences are bad, then one is not bound to follow. So Arjuna is saying the consequences of this act are not good. So why should I follow? So this is another argument given by Arjuna. When we know, uh, killing people is not good, then why should we do it? So Arjuna is coming up again, with a reason, a bona fide reason from scriptures. So now let's see. He will tell in detail now what will be the consequences of this then. Verse number 39. Kulakshay pranashanti kula dharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo abhivatiyut. Yes, someone please read translation purport.
Hare Krishna. With the
Hare-
destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. Purport. In the system of the Varnashrama institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purification may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now what he's explaining his reason now in detail. What will happen if he fights? Now, he has already mentioned in the previous verse that it's not going to be good. Why should I do that when I know this is going to be wrong consequences? And what will be the consequences now? Kulakshe pranshanti, the destroying the family. The first reason is that he will destroy the family. And then is pranashanti kula dharma. Pranashanti is vanquished, kul dharma is family traditions. So first of all, he will destroy his family. Then what will happen? The family tradition, kul dharma, that will become vanquished, pranashanti. So how will that? Here, Arjuna is just saying that if war takes place, what will happen? How this will happen? All the elderly men of family, they will die. And then there will be no elderly people in the family to set an example for the rest of the family. How to follow dharma, what is right, wrong. There will be no one there to teach to others. And then what will happen? The women and the children, they will not follow any religious principles. They will not get to learn it. And the women will get polluted. That's in the next verse. But I'm just telling the whole series, because 39, 40, 41, they are all connected. So we can just talk about it in one go only, and then we can read maybe. So the women, what will happen? They will get polluted by the other man because of not following the principles of religion. So from this adharmic or irreligious combination of men and women, what will happen? There will be Varna Shankara. In the next verse, if you see the 40th verse, Adharma Bhivavat Krishna. Because of this irreligion, Adharma, what will happen? Pradushanti Kul Istriya. Istris will become contaminated, polluted, Pradushanti. And then the last word is Varna Sankara. When they are polluted, Istrisu, Dushtashu, Varshane Jayate Varna Shankara. They will give birth to Varna Shankara. Now, what is this Varna Shankara? So, whenever there is an irreligious or adharmic combination of men and women, there will be Varna Shankara. So, that gives rise to the children who are considered unwanted progeny that arises from such a combination. So ideally, the sanskaras, the garbhadhan sanskara, etc., they have to be followed for conception of the children. But when people don't follow, no sanskaras, no religious principles, Prabhupada says that simply children are born like cats and dogs. This is called Varna Shankar, born with, very less sanskara, or rather no sanskaras. They don't have any sanskaras, no knowledge of Vedas, scriptures, what is right, wrong. No, I mean, the brain is not good at all. So these children are like animals. Prabhupada tells that, with animalistic consciousness. They will not follow any dharma. Only thing they follow is sense gratification. So then what will happen in the next verse, 41st verse, then he tells, Shankaro narkaeva kula ghananam kulashacha patanti pitro. Now, when these type of people are born, this type of children will be born, then what will happen? The patanti pitro, the pitra, the pindadan, the shraddha ceremony, that will also stop, because they will not have any knowledge of any sanskaras, any scriptures. So these children, the next generation, they will stop that also, and that will result in the downfall of our ancestors who are there in the Pitraloka. So they will fall down to hell, and the people who are now responsible for finishing the elders, they will also fall down to hell. So the entire dynasty, that will be destroyed. Everyone will fall to hell. So he's giving, all logical reasons. From 39, 40, 41, we understand all these things. Kulakshe pranashanti kula dharma. Kula dharma finished when all the elders are gone. When elders are gone, no example set for the women. They will be polluted, and the result will be Varna Shankara, that is the unwanted progeny. And because of unwanted progeny, no deliverance of the ancestors, and the people who are committing this crime, they also fall down. So entire dynasty is destroyed. Now, Srila Prabhupada in his lecture, he gives example of one Shankara. He told that in current times, hippies, they are one Shankara. And that was in Prabhupada's times. But now as time is progressing, we can see, of course, whole population is like that. That's why the world is in chaos, because no one is following dharma. Everyone is one Shankara. What is the only one dharma people are following now in this modern world is sense gratification. Shastras give sanskaras from birth to death. There are 40 sanskaras in total. 10 of them are predominant. So Arjuna knows about all these sanskaras and the systems, but again, he is, he's forgetting that Krishna, the personification of dharma, he is giving him instruction, so he can readily take it up. Garbhodhan Sanskar, Prabhupada put so much emphasis upon it, and in ISKCON also we have so many seminars also upon this. Proper consciousness is very important for husband and wife to plan a child. Otherwise, kids like Hiranyakashipu are born, because that was a combination at the wrong time with wrong consciousness. So it should be according to religious principles. So the child is able to understand the Shastras, Vedas, good brain, he can become Krishna conscious. And Pindadan, that is again, it's a subtle process. How the food offered over here. Of course, its food is not ordinary food, it's Vishnu Prasadam. First we have to offer it to God, then we offer it to the ancestors. And then how it reaches up in scientific people, they don't agree with this. How is it possible? I'm sitting in upstairs room, you are serving me food on the downstairs floor. So how will the food reach me? They don't understand the scriptural instructions, how this process is so subtle. Our ancestors, they get satisfied when we offer something over here. So this is the main message and the reasons from these three verses. We have already done the 39th. We can read the 40th and 41st verse also now. So 40th verse on the screen. Verse is Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradushanti kul istriya istrishu dushtashu varshane jayate varna sankarah.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Yeah. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of humanhood, a descendant of Vrishni comes unwanted progeny. Puppet, good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashrama religions principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder member of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandita, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore are trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious uh, activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnasrama system. On the failure of such Varnasrama dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and uh, pestilence. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you, Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we already discussed it, how women and children, especially, of course, everybody need guidance, but women and children, they especially need guidance because of their innocence. Verse number 41. Sankaro narka eva kulaghananam kulasya cha patanti pitro hai esham lupta pinda odak kriya.
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, thank you.
An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performance for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Purport. According to the rules and regulation of fruitive activities, there is need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavatam. Should I read that? That's the next thing, Mataji.
You can read the translation, Mataji. So,
Okay. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so we already did it. So how patanti pitro? Why? Because of lupta pind odak kriya. Pind odak kriya, that will vanquish, that will be stopped. Lupta, it is stopped. So then our ancestors will fall down. And Prabhupada gives us a solution now. The devotees who are engaged in devotional life, they are not even obliged to perform this pind, pindadan and all these rituals like this. Why? Because one who has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the last part of the purport, what happens then? All his obligations, his duty towards demigods, sages, journal living entities, family members, humankind, forefathers, everything is taken care of by Krishna. So just by serving Krishna, by engaging in devotional service to Krishna, everything is taken care of. So Arjuna knows that this is to be done, but now because Krishna is there, just serving him can help him do everything, he's not able to understand that. He is thinking that, whatever he's speaking, of course, that is according to the authorities, but he's not applying. He's thinking that, he's thinking like a devotee. Most of the people, common people also, they argue with us, why Krishna is instigating him to fight and all that. So Arjuna is also having a doubt like that. It will be sinful to kill kinsmen for sense gratification. But actually, Krishna is not engaging his devotee to act sinfully. How can he do that? No? Superficially, it appears like that. If someone asks us also, in Bhagavad Gita, this is all about war, how Krishna could do that, we should have a proper understanding. Superficially, it appears like that. But no, what Krishna does, it's transcendental. It's most pure activity. And it's not sinful. People who don't know Krishna, they say that is immoral. They don't know who is Krishna, what are his actions. But we need to understand, we need to help people also understand. It's like, if the commander in the army, he orders the soldier to do something, it's his duty to do whatever his commander, whatever his senior has ordered him. He should not think what is right and what is wrong. He doesn't have to give his own thought, should I do it or should I not? So order of Krishna is above all dualities, of this material world. On the mundane platform, we think what is right, what is wrong, will it bring me honor, dishonor, respect, disrespect, happiness, distress. These are all material dualities. But Krishna's order is above all that, because God is all good. There cannot be a wrong side, a negative side of his order. We can't discriminate his order. If we do that, we will be misguided. So his order is on the spiritual platform. We need to understand that. So our only consideration, should be whether Krishna is pleased by what I am doing. If Krishna is pleased by inducing me to fight, to do something wrong also, okay, I should not hesitate. I should do that because it's Krishna's order. And what will please Krishna? Now here Krishna is there to tell Arjuna directly what will please Krishna. That, we can understand from media, transparent via media. That is our spiritual master or the acharyas like Prabhupada, Jagat Guru. He is telling us. So otherwise, on the mundane platform, yeah, we should not even misunderstand this thing. I'll repeat it now. Whatever Krishna tells, we should do that without using our mental discrimination, mental speculations, because his order is on the spiritual platform. But we should not misunderstand it. And we should not concoct the idea that, yeah, by doing this, Krishna will be pleased, so I can do it. It should be according to the rules and regulations, according to the scriptural injunctions. So either Krishna should tell us directly, if we are going to break some rule, okay, I can break the rule because Krishna has told me. But now we don't have Krishna here to tell us directly. But we have our Guru, we have the Shastras, we have Acharyas, we have devotees around us to tell us. So if they tell us that no, this is a param dharma, this is a higher dharma than this dharma, then we can do it. So we should understand that. But here Arjuna, he is not able to understand that and is misapplying the knowledge of the scriptures. Okay, so we do that now. Now verse number 42. दोषेर एतः कुला घनानां वर्ण संकर कारकेः उत्साद्यन्ते जाति धर्म कुल धर्मश्च शाश्वताः. Someone please read translation purport.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Purport. Community projects for the four orders of human society combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatana Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in the society. And consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind. And persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So again, he's giving, the further explanation of his reasons. Jati dharma, kul dharma, everything will go. So what is jati dharma? Jati dharma is, according to the jati one is born in, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So they have some traditions, some rules to follow. So nobody will be there to teach them that. And kul dharma is like according to the kul, according to the family traditions. So they all will be devastated. So there will be no welfare activities like Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they all have some duties towards the society that helps in the community projects. In the purport, the first line of that tells community projects for the 4 orders of human society. The Brahmanas also have some contribution towards the community. They have to share the knowledge, they have to teach people about right, wrong. Kshatriyas, they have to take care, they have to give protection. Vaishyas, they have to build up schools, hospitals, wells, and all that. That's for welfare of everybody. But if there's nobody to teach them all, this all will go. There's a responsibility for everybody, but then nobody will be there to teach them that responsibility. No example will be set, and people will not be able to follow anything good. So Prabhupada, in his lecture for this verse, he gives us the important lesson again that at the present moment, we have lost all our culture. Nobody is there to set the right example for us. So we have done so many sinful activities, but the only way we can be saved is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. That's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita also. Sarva dharma paritajya. Verse number 18.66. If we take shelter of Krishna, we can get rid of all the sins. Otherwise, there's no way out. So what is our kul dharma? What is our jati dharma? If nobody is there to teach us all that, we have to understand from Bhagavad Gita that how to keep Krishna or Vishnu satisfied. That is our only family tradition. That is our kul dharma. This is the tradition for everyone, but especially for the Vaishnava, especially for the devotees. We should be very alert. We should be very careful how to serve and satisfy Krishna by all our actions. Action, thought, words, everything. We should think, will it satisfy Krishna or not? So that is our jati dharma, kula dharma. And we should pass that on to our next generation also. Okay, moving on to verse number 43. Uttana kula dharma nam manushanam janardana narke niyatam vaso bhavati iti anushruma. Yes, someone please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. O
Yeah.
Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Purport. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashrama institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called the prayaschita. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here again in the purport, first line only, Arjuna bases his argument not on his personal experience, but what he has heard from the authorities. So his knowledge is bona fide. It is from the right source, from the authorities, but he doesn't know how to apply it. So again, he is just not ready to fight. Narke niyatam vaso. Everyone will go to hell forever. Niyatam. They will be in hell forever, always. So no way out for them. He's failing to understand that Krishna wanted him to fight. So he should not give any excuse, no offense committed. So, but he's not understanding that. Moving on quickly, we have to do the overview also today. 44th verse. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yad rajya sukha lobhena hantum svajanam udhyataha.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I?
Hare Krishna, yes.
Translation. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Purport. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as killing one's own brother, father, or another. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So again, the same thing. He's just trying to convince he should not fight. He considers it as an atonement, like in the last 43rd verse, but also Prabhupada was telling about prayashita and all. So he's again, considering it as an atonement, as a prayashit for the sin of thinking of killing relatives, that he should give up everything. Drive by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. He's on intent of killing the kinsman. He should not do that. In the 45th verse, now we will see he's ready to give up everything. He thinks this is the atonement for such a thought also. This thought is also not good. Verse number 45. Yadi mam apratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhritarashtra rane hanyus tanme shema taram bhavet. Yeah, someone please quickly read.